What if I told you that there's a silent killer lurking in your relationship? One that's so sneaky that most couples don't even realize it's there till it's too late. It's not infidelity. It's not money problems. It's something far more insidious. I'm talking about the lack of emotional safety. I want you to think of emotional safety as the foundation of a healthy relationship. It's kind of like a greenhouse that nurtures growth and connection. And when it's missing, feelings get repressed, conflicts escalate, and emotional discords build up over time. And this problem is way more common than you might think. A lot of couples struggle with creating a safe space to express their feelings without fear of judgment or rejection. And damaged emotional safety can become a vicious cycle that can tear even the strongest relationships apart. But don't worry, there is hope. So in this video, we're going to break down how to break this cycle and rebuild emotional safety in your relationship. So emotional safety is the safe place to be able to express your feelings. And at the heart of broken emotional safety is the vicious cycle of emotional insecurity. So imagine you're trying to express your feelings to your partner, but instead of taking the time to understand you, they react with defensiveness or dismissiveness. How does that make you feel? Probably not great, right? This is when emotional safety is being damaged. And this is where the negative feedback loop of broken emotional safety begins. When one partner reacts poorly to the other's emotional expression, it creates a ripple effect. The person who's opened up, shut down, invalidated, and they're less likely to share their feelings in the future. And over time, this leads to a buildup of repressed emotions, kind of like a pressure cooker waiting to explode. But it doesn't stop. As these feelings get bottled up, they don't just disappear. Instead, they often manifest in other ways, through defensive behavior, passive-aggressive comments, even explosive outbursts. When it comes to emotions, if emotional safety is broken, it's kind of like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Eventually, it's going to pop up and hit someone in the face, right? This cycle of reactions and emotional repression creates a tense atmosphere in the relationship. And these conflicts that could have been minor become major blow-ups. Small disagreements turn to full-scale arguments. And worst of all, both partners start walking on eggshells, afraid to express themselves honestly for fear of triggering another negative reaction. So as this negative feedback loop builds and these emotional challenges start to become bigger and bigger, then emotional safety starts to become damaged. And when it becomes damaged, and partners start to engage in what we call expectancy. So this expectancy is where we expect and assume the worst in our partner. So as an example, let's say your partner is quiet one evening, and instead of thinking they might be tired from work, you assume that they're mad at you or they're losing interest in the relationship. This expectancy, because of this broken emotional safety, starts to further damage the emotional safety. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. These negative assumptions start to lead to negative interactions. Think of this cycle as kind of like not going to the gym. At first, you can skip a workout here and there. It doesn't really seem like a big deal. But over time, your muscles weaken, your energy levels drop, and eventually, even simple physical tasks become tiring. And the same thing happens in relationships. When emotional safety is neglected, what starts as small miscommunications can grow into deep-seated resentment and disconnection. And the scariest part is how gradually this cycle develops. It's not like you wake up one day and suddenly your relationship is in crisis. Instead, it's a really slow erosion of trust and openness. And this happens so subtly that most couples don't even realize there's a problem until deep in the trenches of emotional disconnection. And this is why addressing this cycle is so urgent. The longer this continues, the more ingrained things become and the harder it is for them to break. So what exactly does emotional safety look like in a healthy relationship? Well, emotional safety is an environment where both partners feel comfortable expressing their true feelings without fear of judgment or criticism or rejection. When emotional safety is strong, conflicts get resolved really quickly. There's a lot less emotional baggage weighing down the relationship. Take a moment to think about a time when you felt truly heard and understood by your partner. That is when emotional safety is strong. It allows you to be vulnerable, to share your deepest thoughts and feelings, knowing that your partner is going to respond with empathy and understanding and support. And this level of emotional safety leads to a lot more authentic and deeper connections between partners. But here's where a lot of couples go wrong. They assume that they have emotional safety in their relationship, when in reality, a lot of standards are very, very low. You know, you can think to yourself, well, we don't yell at each other, so we must have emotional safety. But emotional safety actually goes far beyond just avoiding conflict. So as an example, a member of mine came to me. He thought that he had emotional safety in his relationship because him and his wife never argued. So when divorce papers landed on his desk, he was completely blindsided. When we started working together, he realized that his partner had been trying to express her frustration about his long working hours, and he would get immediately defensive and change the subject. And over time, his partner had learned to keep her feelings to herself to avoid these uncomfortable interactions, until his partner couldn't keep it in any longer and wanted to file for divorce. divorce. Now, because we've been working together, these divorce papers have actually been torn up, and this member is rebuilding this emotional safety brick by brick. And being blindsided in this way with a breakup or separation or divorce papers is a classic case of low emotional safety masquerading as a harmonious relationship. The tricky part is that emotional safety can be damaged in many, many subtle ways that often go unnoticed until significant issues arise. It's not always about big blow-ups or dramatic confrontations. Sometimes it's the small, everyday interactions that erode emotional safety over time. So for instance, constantly checking your phone while your partner's talking, using sarcasm to deflect from serious conversations, dismissing your partner's concern, saying things like you're overreacting or it's not a big deal. These can chip away at the foundation of emotional safety in your relationship. Another misconception about emotional safety is that this means that you're always agreeing with your partner or you never have any fights. A relationship with high emotional safety can handle disagreements and conflicts more effectively because both partners feel secure enough to express their true feelings and work towards a resolution together. When you establish real emotional safety in your relationship, you'll notice a lot of changes. Conflicts that used to drag on for days get resolved in minutes. You find yourself looking forward to deep conversations with your partner instead of dreading them. And most importantly, you feel a sense of peace and security in your relationship, knowing that you can be your authentic self without fear of rejection. Creating this level of emotional safety takes time and effort, and it requires a commitment to open communication, empathy, and mutual respect. But the rewards of this are immense. All of the members that I've been working with who have prioritized building emotional safety have all spoken to me about how much more satisfied they are with their relationship. They have better intimacy, they have a stronger sense of partnership with their partner. This is how crucial emotional safety is. So how do you start building this emotional safety in your own relationship? Well, the first step begins with building self-awareness and a willingness to examine your own behaviors and your own reactions. And for example, there are ways that you might inadvertently be damaging the emotional safety in your relationship. Are you truly listening to your partner, or are you just waiting for your turn to speak? Let's talk about how to create it in your relationship. And I call this process emotional alchemy. And this is a powerful technique for transforming the way that you manage your emotions in conversations with your partner. So the first step in the process is developing what I call a list of triggers to address. So this is like creating a shield for your emotions. When you know specifically what sets you off, you're better equipped at staying calm during intense moments. For example, if you know that feeling ignored is a big trigger for you, you can prepare yourself mentally when your partner is busy with work or other commitments. Knowing and understanding your own triggers means that you can start working on digging deep into where they come from and start questioning whether those triggers are really needed. So this is just kind of the first step in emotional alchemy. I'll actually talk a little bit more about emotional alchemy a little later in the video, but this will help prepare you for tough conversations. Once you're able to manage your emotions, you're able to build the emotional safety for your partner, then this means that you won't get defensive, you won't get triggered, and it means that you are proactively creating this emotional safety to be able to have these conversations, to be able to approach these conversations. And obviously there is a lot more detail that I can go into, but I can't dive in a 10-minute YouTube video. So if you do want to deep dive into all of these concepts and more, then join us on the free Relationship Bootcamp, where you'll learn the same steps and tools that my successful members have used to build themselves a thriving relationship. Click on the link in the description to reserve your place today. Now let's talk about how to approach conversations in a way that builds emotional safety. The key is to lower your partner's defenses right from the start. So instead of jumping in with your complaints or frustrations, begin by creating a safe space. So you might say something like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about something that's been on my mind. Is now a good time? This simple step shows that you respect your partner's feelings. It encourages your partner to be able to check their own emotions. And as you progress through the conversation, focus on maintaining that sense of safety, using things like I statements, taking accountability for your own feelings without placing blame on your partner. For instance, instead of saying, you never listen to me, say things like, I feel unheard when we talk sometimes. This approach is less likely to trigger defensiveness. One partner needs to take the initiative in creating that emotional safety. It's not about demanding safety for yourself, but it's about providing it for your partner. And when you focus on supporting and validating your partner's feelings, you're much more likely to receive the same in return. And ending conversations is just as important as starting them. So get into a good habit of summarizing what you've discussed to ensure both of you feel understood and you're both on the same page. So for example, you might say, thanks so much for talking through this. So I understand that you've been stressed at work, and I'll try to be a little bit more patient. Does that sound okay with you? Remember that creating emotional safety is a skill and it takes practice. You might not get it perfect every time, but that's okay. The important thing is to keep trying to raise your standards and to be patient with yourself and your partner as you're learning and going through this journey. By implementing these strategies, you're rewiring the entire emotional dynamic of your relationship. You're creating a space where both feel safe to express yourselves, your feelings, and be able to work through challenges together. And this is why it's so crucial to master this emotional alchemy. So mastering emotional alchemy is crucial to being able to master conversation. So if you do want a deeper dive into mastering your emotions in your relationship, then check out this video right here, and I'll see you over there.